Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alright, so we're going to be actually finishing off our shit from last night basically. So this is what we were going to be doing. But Clinton's PC just needed a little bit more love, basically. I thought it was going to be a more straightforward build, but then I saw how the fans were configured, and I was like, oh, it's the perfect time to make these sort of changes. And I was like, yeah, okay, we've got enough fans to do exactly what I want to do, so yeah, may as well make it happen. Anyway, now we're going to be building our all-white, almost forgot what I was going to say then, our all-white 5800X case. So this is just a Ryzen 5 5600 and an RTX 3060, but it's going to look the goods with everything white. So our power supply has all white cables, so everything inside it's going to be white. We've got white RAM, we've got white graphics card, we've got all QL120 fans. So Corsair QL series fans are pretty much they're pretty much Corsair's best. And why they're called QL, it stands for quad loop. So it basically means that on the fan you've got a loop around the edge and then you've got a loop in the middle, and so that's two loops, but you've also got the same on the back. And the good thing about these fans is, see how they look just as white on the back as they do on the front. They're actually RGB on the back as well as the front, so no matter which way you have these fans in your case, it's going to look like it's basically the right way up. That's just how these things are designed. So really good design there on the fans, and you can go nuts with the with the fully customizable lighting with the Corsair IQ app. So bloody hell, those dogs are really distracting me, eh?
I'm sorry.
Shut the fuck up, little puppies. Yeah, so basically what you can do, you can adjust everything. Every individual LED in these fans can be adjusted. So we could have, I think there's 48 LEDs in one QL fan. So we could potentially have each one of those LEDs displaying its own color and pattern profile. That's how much we can customize the lighting. Hey George, how you going? Good to have you with us. And so this case here, the Corsair 5000X, this is the QL edition. So it has 4 of these QL120 fans pre-installed. We've got another 3-pack here to go on our cooler. So all of our fans in this case are going to be the QL series fans. So it's going to really look the goods. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know about you. So one thing we could do as well is, I don't know if it would look weird with all the QL fans, but we can actually put another 3 fans on the wall there. So we could just use the Corsair fans that come with the cooler for that, or we could, I don't know.
Ask the customer.
Let me. Yeah, that's a good point, babe. He hasn't seen my messages from before, so he might not be watching live tonight. So I think what I'll do is I'll just install these on the radiator, and then we'll have those other fans spare And then as for the shroud, whether we leave it there, I'm going to leave it there for now. And then if the customer wants me to install another 3 fans, we can either install the 3 that come with this, or we can just buy another 3-pack of Corsair QL120 fans. We can put another 3 QL fans on there. So I think we got a bit of a plan there. Alright, so let's go through our specs. We've got a Ryzen 5 5600 6-core 12-thread CPU. We've got the Asus ROG Strix B550-A gaming motherboard. We have an RTX 3060 there. Oh. We have Corsair 32 gigabyte 3200 megahertz CL16 memory there from Corsair. We've got a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. We've got our H150i Elite Capilex cooler and a 650 watt Cooler Master power supply there. 80 plus gold in white. So all in all, it's going to be very white. So if you like white PCs, tonight's going to be the night for you. So as you can see, here's where we can mount some other fans here behind the shroud there. But yes. Let's get stuck right into it. Put this around there for a sec. So about the only thing that's sort of missing off this motherboard is Wi-Fi. So that's a bit of a shame there. And no CNVI slot or anything like that. So that's one thing that, you know, sort of lets down this motherboard. I mean, who wants to buy the ROG Strix B550 board and have no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth? I think Asus get a bit greedy sometimes. They just want to sell their Wi-Fi adapters. And they love putting sticky over everything, even on the rear I/O shield there. Yep. No, it's not dead. Absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't say that by any means. I mean, realistically, AM4 is still a good price to performance option right now. The cost of DDR5 RAM hasn't sort of dropped to the level where I would say that, you know, it makes sense for everyone to buy. I mean, if you've got the money to spend for a bit extra, it costs you a fortune to buy DDR5 RAM that's fast enough to actually give DDR4 a run for its money under sort of gaming type workloads. And that's the thing a lot of people don't really understand, that, you know, they have to spend quite a lot to get DDR5 that's sort of actually better. Now, if you've got, like I said, if you've got the money, yes, do it. Get the DDR5 platform just because you've got the money for it, and then you can it's easier for you to upgrade a little bit later. But it doesn't really make sense right now for most people, and certainly not for gaming. It wasn't like most people had a problem with the sort of RAM performance and latency that we have with DDR4. Like,
everyone was fairly happy with the sort of performance that you get there with it. So you always get a little bit of thermal padding there on the bottom of your heatsink. Just remember to peel that off. And it doesn't make a difference on this motherboard, but also check which slot you should be using. Sometimes your motherboard might have a different slot generation, so one might be PCIe 4, one might be PCIe 3. There's motherboards where the PCIe 4 slot won't work with a PCIe 3 drive in it, or it'll only work with a PCIe 4 compatible CPU. If not, it's just a slot there that just doesn't work. There's some weird things that can happen there, so you should be able to read about all of those specs in the detailed specs on the motherboard's website. So you just type in your model number, you can go and read all about your motherboard. It's real exciting stuff. Alright, so for our CPU, so be very careful when you install your CPU. You can see it happen. It can happen to the best of us. You can bend pins if you don't have it lined up nicely. I like to sort of feel around the perimeter of the CPU to make sure that it's in, all of the corners are in, and nothing's sort of sticking up higher than it should be. Alright, so that's our board with our CPU, RAM and SSD. So basically, that could potentially be a working computer, but we don't actually have onboard graphics on the CPU. We need our graphics card. So there's a HDMI and DisplayPort on the back of this motherboard. They will not be in use. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, people get really, one thing I've learned is that people are really scared of the prospect of bottlenecks. They're really concerned about it. And they're concerned about it, in the wrong areas. Bottlenecking is a thing. Like, when you hear me say that, I'm not really too concerned about that, I'm talking about within the context of modern CPUs. So if you get a modern CPU, and you pair it with a modern graphics card, there's very minimal amounts of bottlenecking. You're talking single digits. It's not a big deal. Where it's a big deal is when you've got older hardware and you're mixing it with newer hardware. And for the most part, even Ryzen 5000 series chips, they're fine paired with, 40 series cards and stuff like that. I don't see any considerable problem there. The thing is about CPU performance is CPUs can get faster all they want, and Intel 12th and 13th gen have certainly shown us some faster CPUs, and with AM5 they've also shown us some faster CPUs, and that's great. But we got to remember that the CPU just has to keep up with the graphics card. Doesn't really help you out having, you know, some supercharged, high-powered CPU and an RTX 3060. Okay, it just does not. It's not a problem. You're not going to get any extra performance by spending all this extra money on the CPU for the sake of it being the Ryzen 9 or the i9. These numbers are arbitrary. They're marketing tools. It doesn't really tell you anything technical about the CPU that you're buying, and it's all money down the drain if you've only got a 3060, because the bottleneck in your system is very much the RTX 3060. It's got nothing to do with the CPU as a bottleneck yet. So what if the graphics card is the main bottleneck? That's the main thing that you need to upgrade to get extra performance. It's usually going to be the best bang for your buck upgrade. So normally, if a person comes to me with a PC build that they want to do, normally what'll happen is I'll have to tell them that, in fact, what they want specifically, they've spent too much money usually on the motherboard, and they've spent too much money on the CPU, and they have spent not enough money on the graphics card. Because most of these people, they come to me, and what they want is they want the best FPS that they can get. That's the sort of language the average person will use with me. They'll just be like, "Yeah, can you just get us the best FPS that my dollars can buy?" That's why I've got the i7 there, and it's like, no. Forget the i7. You need to upgrade that 3070 to 3080 or 40 series. That's going to get you more performance. And yeah, once people realize that, they get a little bit calmer about it. But yeah, people are very, very concerned about, you know, CPU bottlenecking, and you know, while it's definitely an issue to consider, not as big a deal as your graphics card. And as I explained another time, I want to bring this point up again, just because it's such a common thing that comes up, is that, you know, even if you're slightly bottlenecked, it's usually a case of the cheapest performance upgrade for you in terms of what you get for your money meant that it was you with your older system, like say your 5-6 year old CPU. The cheapest option for you as an upgrade will definitely be a new graphics card. Will your CPU be bottlenecked now? Maybe a little bit. You know, after 6 years, that your CPU from 6 years ago might be slightly bottlenecked with a 30 series or 40 series card. But what's cheaper? Replacing your CPU, motherboard and RAM and getting a new graphics card, or just getting the new graphics card? Yeah, you might be bottlenecked a little bit, but who cares? You know what I'm saying? All that matters is what was the cheapest bang for my buck when it came to performance. And yeah, I wouldn't mind if I had an older system and a limited budget. I certainly wouldn't be concerned about my CPU slightly bottlenecking my new graphics card, because I would know that it's better for me to get that new graphics card than it is to look around online and find the, say, upgrade from your 6-year-old i5 to the 6-year-old i7. That's not going to help you. That's really not going to help you. Okay, so we can go ahead and get our cooler mounted here. So yeah, the cables can go on the, well, my left, your right hand side. pressing down there, creating a bit of surface tension. Unlike last night, we've definitely made contact there. They finally stopped using the clips for AM4 right as AM4 stops becoming a thing, but I guess the updated AM4 mounting kit here will work perfectly fine with AM5 as well. There's a fun fact for you. There's probably not enough information about that, and that is that pretty much all cooler kits that are good for AM4 will work okay with AM5 as well. Alright. So I'm going to plug our pump sensor into the CPU header because it's an Asus motherboard. Yeah.
I'm wondering whether that cooler is overkill for the CPU, yet it will definitely be great with pace.
Oh yeah, the coolers here not because we need it for the CPU. Absolutely not. The coolers here because of the case. It'd look absolutely stupid if we just put like an air tower cooler or the stock cooler on our CPU here in this case. It would also look pretty dumb with a 240mm radiator instead of a 360. That would look silly up top as well. It'd be like, where's the rest of it? You know, like. So this build here, the way that it is, like, I don't believe the customers basically asked. He knew exactly what he wanted here with this build. I just told him to pick a case and choose what sort of fans that he wanted inside the case, and we can make it all white. So. Okay, so here's our QL fan upgrade for the radiator. So yeah, obviously quad loop there. That's the deal with these fans. That's why it's QL, quad loop. So you've got a ring around the outer, a ring around the inner, plus the blades, and you got the same thing on the back. Yeah.
Rick wants to know how much for a cheap gaming PC.
How much for a cheap gaming PC? Well, I mean, it depends how cheap you want to go. That's the thing about PCs. If you want to play modern games, like if you want to basically get yourself a gaming PC that's sort of average price, you'd be looking at between $1,500 and $3,000. That's the kind of system that you want to play modern games at good frame rates, good resolutions, etc. You know, something that'll, you know, run at your 1440p resolution, etc. Yeah.
James advising. We've been told that if you keep your old motherboard in
No, not necessarily. You might have to reactivate Windows because your Windows license will tie to the motherboard and CPU that you're using. So if you upgrade any of that, you'll generally have to reactivate. But if you have your license and you sign in with your Microsoft account like a good little boy, then you can go in when you upgrade and you can delete your old computer's like serial number on Microsoft's website. And once you do that, then you can re-enter your product key and it will reactivate Windows. Because I mean, the thing is, nothing will change with the hard drive, but they have to make it bind to something. So instead of making it bind to the storage device, they make it bind to the CPU, which is, you know, something that usually people don't do. They usually if they get a new CPU, it means they're getting a whole new computer. So that's the average person. They design everything around what the average person's going to do. Oh. But you certainly don't have to reinstall Windows completely. And if you Google how to find your product key, there is a method. If you don't have record of your product key on you, you can find it out from an easy trick. So we're nearly done. We're nearly prepped up our board. We can get it in the case, and we can start hooking everything else up. But yeah, this will definitely look the goods, this build. I can't remember what it was, but essentially, I don't think we really needed much more of a graphics card than this. I don't think the customer's seen my message, so I don't think he's watching live tonight, so he can't tell you more about what sort of games he plays and all that. But I always explain to people what I said at the start there about how you always try and spend as much money on the graphics card as possible. You know, that because that's the main thing that gets you gaming performance. So if you're after like maximum performance at the best price, what it looks like is you know, the smallest CPU that you can get away with the biggest graphics card you can. Don't just get a motherboard that has the features that you want. Don't worry about stupid shit that you're never going to use. Just what you need, with RAM at the speeds that you need, and that's pretty much it. That's what good price performance looks like. And that's what some people like don't understand sometimes is not every PC that I build here is the perfect example of a you know, a well balanced PC, because I gotta work with people's budgets. And some PCs, the whole thing with them is it's about price performance, and so sometimes that might mean a cheaper CPU, and you know, it might only be $50 or $100 more for a slightly better one, and people will be like, oh, why didn't you use that? It's only a little bit more. And it's like, yeah, but it's not what the customer wants. The customer's always right. I've just got to make sure that they don't spend their money on something that's completely stupid, right? That's my job, and to provide information. So a trick with your fans here, you can put a cable tie, get them in line, and just put one cable tie around all of the cables. Yeah.
Rick wants to know if you have a shop.
Do I have a shop? Well, kinda. I mean,
It's our house.
It's our house. But yes. If you're after, I think Rick's someone who left his number for a callback tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Is this Rick? R-I-K?
No.
No, it's another Rick.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I talk to too many people.
Yeah, you do.
Alrighty, so let's chuck our cooler and case. Alrighty, so on the top here you got a glass panel that just comes off like that. It'll have bits of plastic and shit all over it. You've got some tape here as well to remove. And no, Corsair did not just put this tape on there to like hold the thing down or anything like that. Keep showing me these things that I'm dumber for reading them. I hear you start laughing, I'm like, oh no, this is going to be something I'm going to be dumber after I read this.
Fucking hell. Jeez. Tell everyone how you think. Sauce is taking ages to cook down.
Okay, and so around the back here, we've got this little door that comes off. Okay, and so what have we got? We got 4. We sort of still need both of the controllers there. So where will I mount the Commander Pro? I think we'll have room to mount it there. That's not going to cause too many drums. Alrighty, so our Commander Pro is going to go there. There's a couple of ports that might be a little bit obscured, but we don't really need them as such. We just need sort of 3 and 3 on this, and then we can leave the other included case controllers as is. So this is one of the good things about Corsair here, is that we can get everything plugged in without plugging one fan directly into the motherboard. Ah, look at that. It's not even, I've managed to plug everything in with no slots missing. Ha, there we go. It's a little bit tight, but it fits. Yeah.
Wants to know if you sell pre-built.
Do I sell pre-built?
Like pre-built PCs.
Like all my PCs are built before they are shipped, but no, I don't have a PC production line where we like assemble all these like PCs. Because the problem is everyone wants something a little bit different. So if you're looking for like the cheapest of cheap pre-built PCs and stuff like that, discount rate's not really what I do here. I can build a good PC for you that ticks all your boxes and stuff like that at a reasonable price. But yeah, if you're after like the cheapest possible PC where like the business is only made like say $50 to $100 on the whole build, there is places to go for that. I can refer you to one of my colleagues that specializes in that. But yeah, I don't have like a super cheap pre-built line. But yeah, I can usually beat the prices of many other businesses' pre-builds with custom builds, and that's the thing. So why bother with even assembling any pre-builds when, you know, it's just easy enough to have a quick conversation with the customer, find out what they want, and put a quote together based on that. Okay, so what do we got to deal with here? USB 3, USB-C, front panel audio, 2 USB 2s from our 2 controllers. Very good. So we got the other piece there if we want to open it up a little bit. I don't think we really need to though. Alright. So look how simple this is. We got USB 2s and we got 2 of them. Thank fuck for that. You might be like, what do you need USB 2 for? So we need them for our controllers, our Corsair controllers. They need the USB 2 to talk to the software. So it's vital that you have spare USB 2s for your Corsair controllers. We need 3 SATA powers. So no sneaky SATA power that we haven't seen. Should just be those 3. front panel audio. What's up?
Hot button door.
Block drains.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's like a fat bird or something at somebody's sink.
Fatberg in somebody's sink. Lovely. It's always what I like to see. Okay, well, I think we should be right to put a few more bolts in our motherboard. Oh, we have a different thread pitch for our bolts. Yeah, so definitely make sure you have the correct thread pitch bolt. You don't want your motherboard to fall out. So Corsair definitely make it easy to hook up your RGB if you buy all Corsair RGB and you don't care about paying more for it all. Because that's the thing about Corsair. It's one of those more high-end brands. You know, like Leon Lee wants to be Corsair. They have the nickname, the Corsair of the East. If you didn't know. Yeah.
Tristan says it looks good.
Hey Tristan, so Tristan has finally arrived. Tristan is the lucky recipient of this beastly computer. Yeah. Hey Josh, how you going? Good to have you with us. What's that? Hey Nick, how you going? Good to have you with us. I hope it's another sunny day. I wonder if today in America is going to be a bit of a crazy day. See, there's this orange guy, and I think he might be getting arrested or something. And if he does, there's going to be like riots in the street and shit. motherboard, CPU, and we're going to need just the single PCIe. And 2 motherboard. So fortunately we get a nice little pouch with our power supply. And all of these unused things. Your Intel mounting kit. I know you don't have an Intel build, but it comes with your cooler. And I already have 20,000 of them, so I don't need any more spares. So that can take up space at your house instead of mine. How's that? I reckon that's for the win. Yep, definitely for the win. No, it saves you in 2 years' time deciding that you want to upgrade or do something, and then you need the other brand bracket for your cooler. It just saves you having to go through all that nonsense. Okay. To move. Oh, we still got black bolts at the back of this case. I don't think we can get away from the black bolts. Oh yeah, the RGB. If you've just joined,
It makes it so much brighter.
if you've just joined us, the RGB that we've got here with the QL fans is pretty much the best RGB that you can get, just because of what you can do with it. That's better. Okay, so that's our CPU cable plugged in. We've got a lot of stuff plugged in down the bottom there. So, USB 3 and C. Our ROG Strix board does not have a USB-C header. So that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Unfortunately, there's not really a great deal of choice when it comes to white AM4 motherboards. But all is not lost, because you do have a high-speed USB-C port on the rear of the motherboard. Yeah, I would say that ASUS probably shouldn't have a ROG Strix board in white that doesn't have USB-C. Yeah.
Josh was talking us about a Dell duplex 920 with 16 gigabytes DDR3 and Ryzen 4770 AMD Radeon RX 550.
Yep. Still goes all right. I mean, it really depends it depends what games you play, realistically. Yeah.
Interesting. So I've got a question. Where would I plug in the mouse and keyboard to case?
Where would I plug in?
Mouse and keyboard.
Oh, yeah. So you can plug in the mouse and keyboard to any of the USB ports on the back there. So you've got 6 USB ports on the back, and then you've got 2 on the top of the case there as well. But yes, you can plug into either of them. The only thing is there is a little Type-C connector on the top of the case there. Your motherboard doesn't have the header for it. So yeah, it's just a bit of a bugger there. Oh, I'll message him. I'll message him about that. You can put some extra fans on there, and you can remove that panel there if you don't want. So, I mean, depending on what you want to do, we can put some more fans on there. The only thing is, I mean, they're fairly expensive, right? They're like $50 each, these fans. The 3-pack's $150. So, yeah, I mean, it's completely up to you. You don't need them. I think it's going to look great just as is. So, alrighty, graphics card time. So we're using slots 2 and 3 here. I was like, oh look, this card's not absolutely covered in sticky. And then I realised it's a Gigabyte brand, not an Asus. Huh. Not covered in sticky. What do you know? And look, the card got to me without anything with sticky being scratched. It's all lovely and white and new and shiny. Shiny, shiny, shiny. Oh, shiny. Well. You stole a freaking roadways. Whoa. Tim's PC does not advocate for stolen roadways. Oh, you just a hater, man. Ah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, well that's fine, man. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with getting an old PC and you know, loading up some, I don't know, some 1080 snowboarding or some bloody Crash Bandicoot or Gran Turismo or any of the old classics. Because pretty much any PC these days, even an old second-hand one, it's as good as a PlayStation 2. It's better than an N64. So, yeah, you can run all that stuff. Yeah. I believe there is a one that comes with the QL fans. In our case, we've just added another 3-pack there. I need another cable tie here. Okay, so, believe it or not, that is our build all done. So at the back here we've got this hinged panel. And then we got one bolt that goes in there. It should just go back in there. Bloody hell. There we go. Really didn't want to sort of sit in place there. Okay. That is looking nice. Do you want to grab a BIOS spade? Since you're the BIOS spade. Yeah, B550-A gaming. Alrighty. So all our RGBs on our default rainbow pattern. And so we can do a lot more than just a rainbow pattern with these. Yeah.
Josh found the Dell Latitude. He found a Dell Latitude D8110 in the storage unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like that's the beauty. If you're just an emulator gamer, you do not need a lot to emulate old games.
Yeah, it'll run on a potato.
It'll run on basically nothing. And that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, retro games, you know, can potentially be.
Can you have a USB?
Yes, you can. Let me give you the right one, the shit one, because it's more compatible with motherboards.
Rick says he followed you. He saw an ad.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I've got to advertise because if not enough people know of Tim's PC yet, unfortunately. I'm in that sort of first 5 years of a business where you're sort of just constantly trying to grow your brand and build your customer base and all of that lovely, exciting stuff. Thank you. Alright, so from 2803 to 30, 3002.
It's a,
Yeah.
it says unicorn spew is the technical name.
Yeah, unicorn spew. Yep. Alrighty, well, while that's doing that, I'm gonna stick a couple more bolts in the top here.
It's a
Yeah.
Josh says the Dell Latitude D8 110 that is very slow, can only play retro games or website computer games.
Yep. Yep.
Rick says, wish I had a PC to game with, one day I will.
Yeah. No. Definitely, man.
Start selling
I
those
would say that basically there's never been a better time to get into PCs. We're at a good time in terms of tech. Tech that you get today will potentially last you well into the future, depending on the sort of person you are. It's like cars, right? You know, the quality of a car built, you know, sort of post like 2010 is really very, very good. Even the shit ones are kind of good.
I really want to upgrade to one of these cases.
It's got Christine mesmerized.
Well, I have the 4000 and it's just a little bit too small for all the RGB and shit I've got going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
And he says, nice build, love the 5000X case for builds.
Yeah, it's a beauty of a case. It's very versatile. You can do whatever you want in it. Nice tidy build here. I'd be very happy with this. And yeah, like when you consider like the average person, they pretty much, in terms of modern games, it's all about a dozen or so really popular titles. That's basically what everyone's playing or wants to play. There's shitloads, absolute shitloads of PC games. Okay. CPU fan, DC, full speed.
Tristan says that's why I chose it. And that's kind of why I chose it. It's just so good to use.
Yeah, it's an absolute beauty. I love this case. Christine loves it, wants to use it for her own PC. Yeah. You know, potentially, you know, if they upgrade the fans or something like that, over time, which they do, they refresh and make them better and stuff like that. So when Corsair releases their next generation of fans, you might be able to, you know, upgrade pretty much everything else, but still keep this case because it's that good of a chassis that it's going to set you up for a while. Same with your power supply. You got a top tier power supply there with a 10-year warranty. So
Tim,
yeah.
Josh wants to know if it's viable is it worth upgrading the latitude to a 110?
For what? Just for gaming in
He's only a
general.
retro gamer.
If you're only a retro gamer, well, I mean, you know, the thing about owning a PC that's that old is it's just a matter of time before something decides to give up. Like you can get ages out of a PC potentially. You know, like well beyond its warranty. You know, it's a bit like a car. Cars will last well beyond the warranty that the manufacturer will give you for it. And it's the same with a computer if you're lucky. I mean, the thing is, everything's got a non-zero failure rate, but the older it is, the more likely something will go. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, 5000X, when they released it, they sort of made up for a few of their sins, for lack of a better word, with some of their other cases of recent. Because they made some quite kind of like, I don't want to say crap, because they're not crap. They just made some questionable design choices. It's now it's good to see Corsair is back with design choices that make sense, cases that are good to build in. Because I mean, the thing about things like PC cases and PC parts, yeah, they're designed to be built by your average consumer or prosumer, they call them. But at the end of the day, a lot of the product that they make gets bought by businesses like mine and assembled by professionals. Now, professionals are going to quickly get pissed off with wasting time due to bad design choices. And so that can really hurt your sales for a product like a PC case, especially if you're a brand like Corsair. Because if you're selling premium, then it becomes a case of the total cost of the system. The build fee isn't even the biggest expense, you know. Like you'll spend 10 times as much money on your graphics card as you will for the build fee, especially on a high-end one. I wish I could say I could charge $3,000 profit on a high-end PC build with a 4090. That'd be nice. Every 4090 system I sell, I get $3,000. That'd change my life. That'd be life-changing stuff.
And this is 4,000, 5,000, 7,000 all grade.
Yeah. The 4,000, I could call out a few things that are a bit about the 4,000, but it's still pretty good. It's a good looking case. If you do everything just right, it's good. If you deviate slightly, then you start running into problems, and that's where the criticism is. With coolers and mounting positions, you know, like it's okay if you've got stuff mounted to the front. You run into problems trying to top mount radiators in it, and that's my biggest criticism with it. But yes, not with this one. We have a 5000X here, so we've got room for a 360mm radiator up top. We've got room for liquid cooling radiator reservoirs and all that good stuff. We could potentially put a distro plate on the back there as well. Like there's definitely potential for whatever you wanted to do in this case. Because my prediction is that open loops are going to become more popular with more powerful graphics cards over the next few years. So there'll be more and more people wanting to do that sort of stuff. No geckos.
Josh says 18 on page. You can run Windows 10 on Android phones.
Oh, really? I mean, there's emulators for everything. We were talking about emulators earlier, and that's pretty much what they're doing there. But I mean, the thing is, your modern Android phone, in terms of the specs, like the RAM and storage and the processor specifications, an Android phone and a PC are, like, on paper, they got some similar sorts of capacities, and it's not like, you know, we're talking about old Dell Optiplexes here and stuff like that, and you know, I can guarantee that my S series Samsung, my S21, that's gonna be a more powerful processor than the old Dell, and the old Dell will run Windows 10. So why can't the phone run it? It's just because of the apps and all the background processes in Windows 10. That's where you need basically like an emulator to kind of run it. So it's running it from within the Android operating system. So it's not like instead of booting to Android on your smartphone, you're booting into Windows. You're booting into Android, and then Windows gets booted from there. So I'm not even sure. I haven't even seen it. I just have an understanding of how they get that sort of stuff to work.
4,000 just needs to be a bit taller so you can top down AIO.
Yep.
RGB RAM.
Yep.
Not just the Corsair RPX.
Yes, 100%, man. You said it. You said the actual main criticism that people have for the 4000X. You quoted it perfectly.
Corsair Vengeance RAM just gets in the way of
Yep.
colour.
But it'd be fine if you had Corsair QL fans and Corsair Dominator Platinum RAM. Did you know that?
Sorry, what?
It'd be fine if you had Corsair QL fans on your radiator and Corsair Dominator Platinum RAM. Then it works just fine. There's just enough room. Surprise, surprise, Corsair? Am I right? If you buy the most expensive Corsair fans and the most expensive Corsair RAM, then it fits in your case. I don't like it. I don't like it when they do stuff like that. And, you know, it makes me like, I'm like recommending them, and it's like, why am I recommending companies that do this to my customers? Do I hate my customers? Alrighty, so let's get this thing set up. So we've got Windows updates, we've got Armory Crate installing there.
Josh says it's
It's like
like Linux.
Linux. Yeah, well, kind of, because I mean Linux is designed to run on a computer. So they test it and develop it on computer for computer. So not going to potentially run into random faults and errors and stuff like that. See, like there's certain stuff with Windows that tells Windows how to behave with, you know, different motherboards, different CPUs, different RAM, different graphics cards and stuff like that, usually referred to as drivers and Windows updates and firmware updates and stuff like that. but you need a lot of stuff you need to install a lot of stuff even on a computer to make sure all your hardware works correctly. And so if you try to boot that onto an Android phone, which is the physical architecture of the CPU has differences, and the developers of Windows haven't made all of their Windows processors work around the mobile, like the Qualcomm chip that's in your Android phone, and that's where the problems come up. It's like getting Windows and getting a brand new CPU and booting up Windows on it, and then you have random weird errors occurring in Windows with your new CPU or motherboard that you've installed. And that's when, the developers have at least tried to, update Windows and get it working so, you can at least install your updates before it crashes. Like, that's what you've got to consider. And with anything like any of those patches where you run Windows on like a phone, they've done a lot of stuff to it to make it work in the background. Yeah.
This turned out to be a beautiful build for me. It was always like I didn't do a full-out black and lighting into a white blue light.
Yep. Well, yeah, we'll have a look at the lighting. We'll have a look at the lighting that this thing can do real soon. That's something we'll look at tonight. Because you might be wondering, why the fuck would anyone pay $50 each for a fan, even if they are RGB fans? Yeah.
I know this because I've been down on the Gold Coast.
Whereabouts are you?
Gold Coast.
Yeah, but what company? I'm just curious because
Joshua says like bloatware.
like bloatware.
I'm talking about phone.
Oh no, it's not really like bloatware. Like I said, it's not the sort of software that you use to get.
Just his thing.
Oh, it's just you. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Send me a message on Facebook if you're a small business. Yeah, you might like to join our group. Okay. So let's put a bit of basic software and the sort of stuff that we put on most gaming PCs, as well as diagnostic software and stuff like that. Nothing that I install takes up much space, but anything I do install you can remove if you don't want it. It's not compulsory. It's just software that I install to make sure that everything's running right. And so this app here, Armory Crate, this is just ASUS software. So it can be a little bit buggy and can cause problems, but fortunately all your RGB is going to be through another app that we're going to install. Alright, so Bottleneck. I'll install Chrome as it's still the most popular internet browser by a long shot. CPU-Z, a tiny little app there, 2 megabytes. And it just has diagnostic stuff about your computer. So if we open up CPU-Z, we've got our CPU, our motherboard, memory, speeds, graphics, and we can bench test and submit and compare, and we can look and see how fast this CPU is compared to the other CPUs. And yeah, it's just 2 megabytes, that one. crystal disk info. This is about 4.5 megabytes. And it tells you the status of your storage devices. That's always handy. And a slightly smaller one here, Crystal Disk Mark. This lets you test the speed of your SSDs and storage devices. So EA has their own app. EA games, as well as Epic Games, which is the one we use for Fortnite. So basically, if you're new to PC gaming, Bottleneck has Call of Duty Warzone, Epic Games has Fortnite, and EA is EA. You're probably familiar with a company called EA. EA Sports! You know, everyone's heard that, right? So Furmark's just for my stress test. It's not really for anyone else to mess around with. GeForce Experience. So this is the NVIDIA driver update utility. It's like Armory Crate there with our ASUS system. I also need Cinebench or R23. It's in the game, yes.
I remember
Yes.
EA games challenge everything.
EA games challenge everything. Okay, yeah. There has been a few. There has been a few. I went with the most generic one, which I thought was EA Sports.
I never heard that one.
But you didn't play sports games.
Nah. Joshua says I got a Transformer AMD Radeon RX 550 graphics card.
Oh, yep. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Alright, so you can update the utility there. So that update there that we did before in Armory Crate, that updates the app to the latest version because it automatically installed from the motherboard. Whereas over here, these are our drivers. So these two here will get installed from Windows. However, this one here, AMD chipset driver, this one you'll have to come into Armory Crate to download, or you'll need the CD that comes with your motherboard. However, I don't think this motherboard even comes with a CD anymore. And then, if not, you have to go to the website. But I always install these utilities because it's just easy for the end user to update. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like bloatware and stuff like that. There is a CD for it. Last of its kind.
Tim,
Yeah.
Kristen says whereabouts are you based because you might have to ship it.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Brisbane, man. Was there shipping on your invoice? It'll have a line that says shipping, and if it's included, it'll say INC for shipping on the shipping line. Ah, we were talking about them earlier. And I always install VLC Media Player.
Do you have a bag with all the other cables from the power supply?
Yes, I do.
Give me.
There's an outer bag as well. It's nice, isn't it?
Very nice.
That's how you know you're getting a good quality product, because they give you all this extra shit with it that you don't need.
Is that an RGB extender? Looks like it.
Yeah.
Oh, cat! It's on the fucking outside, you dumbass! You just like jumped at the fucking window.
Kamikaze cat.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I think I've got everything I need from in here. So Steam, EA, Epic Games, and Bottleneck. And so yeah, these folders here that I have on the desktop, this is just how I've set PCs up for freaking ages. I've done this like my whole life with this sort of setup. I'm not trying to tell you how you have to have your computer. You can do it however the hell you want. You can delete these icons here, this applications and games folder. These are just custom icons that I've made just to keep everything organized. Because I'm just a bit OCD about my desktop only having stuff that I need to work on, and then having a folder system for all my work. That's just how I've always worked for years, and no matter what job I've had, if my job involves a computer, I always have it, I always organise it like this. If I have shared computers, people come back and they're like, oh wow, you've organised all of the desktops. Like, yes. I was not continuing with all that crap there. Yeah.
It's very inconvenient to install motherboard drivers for the motherboard app rather than one by one from the website, although for the AMD chipset driver I tend to get it manually from the AMD website.
Yeah, definitely, because it can be problematic installing it. Normally Armory Crate is one of the more problematic ones for it, but we should be okay. And so I think this customer is in Victoria.
Tristan says yeah, it was shipping.
Yep, if it's included, it's included, so yeah, happy days.
Sent him a message with your address. So
Yep. Yeah, just send me a message with your address and get it shipped off.
VLC is top tier.
Yeah, VLC. I mean, basically what they say about VLC is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if VLC doesn't play it, it's a virus.
Pretty much.
If VLC doesn't play it and you've updated to the latest version, then you've either been spoofed with some bullshit file that's absolutely nothing.
Just a shit file that just.
Yeah, it could just be a shit. It could be a shit or corrupted file, but most probably, if it doesn't play, it's probably not something you want to keep on your computer.
Very organized and efficient too.
Oh, I try to be. Okay, that's all good to go. Oh, yeah, here we go. AMD chipset being held up by something. And I think it might be MSI Afterburner and Reba Tuner fucking with our lives. There we go. Nope, that's everything we needed from in here. Oh, hang on. No, there is one thing I haven't installed. Bloody hell. The main event. Corsair IQ. Good. And always disable all the stuff you don't want to start up automatically. Some of this stuff is okay. Windows security is okay. IQ, which is our RGB control, that's fine. OneDrive, it's generally fine. PhoneLink. So PhoneLink's really cool. If you haven't checked out PhoneLink app yet, definitely check out PhoneLink because, yeah, it does exactly what the name says. It's your phone, but from your computer. Need to type out a message, use your keyboard. Want to just easily access your photos off your phone? Want to just like drag them from the app into another app? Yeah, you can do that with PhoneLink. It is really a very cool thing. It's the missing link in your life between your two devices, mobile and PC. No stuffing around looking for a cable or anything like that to get just one photo off your phone and put it on the computer. Those days are gone. You can also run any app that you would on your phone from your desktop. So PhoneLink is something that I always set up and I always have down in my quick launch tray there. And it's really easy to set up, just a couple of clicks. Yeah.
Can DDR3 RAM only reach 8 GB, or can you get
No, you can have way more than 8 GB with DDR3. DDR2 is I'm pretty sure you can only get like 8 GB of DDR2 on a normal platform, because I'm pretty sure you can only get, unless they've released bigger DIMMs these days, I don't think so. But you used to be only able to get DDR2 maximum of 2 GB per stick.
wants to upgrade his DDR3 to 64?
Yeah, you can do that, absolutely. If you're gaming, 64 is not going to make any difference over 32. So just get the fastest 32 GB kit that you can. That would be my suggestion. If you're doing other things and you need the 64 specifically, then do that, but don't add it for gaming. You'd just be wasting your money. Get yourself a new SSD. Get rid of the hard drive or something. Yeah.
You're not necessarily doing know much about the gaming browsers like VGAs.
No, not a great deal. If you've got any specific questions, I can find out for you, so just send me a message. Okay. So we've got a few different things here. We've got our first controller, so let's set that up. We've got 4 fans. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for our pump, for our Commander Pro, Ooh, run wizard. Look at that. Oh, fancy. Look at that. It just did it for me. Look at that. What do you know? Okay, so do you want to make it a little bit bigger so that people can see the lights on the case here a little bit clearer? Okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of a play around with our fans and what we can do with them. So let's come over here to our first controller. Our first controller has basically the 4 fans that were pre-installed are in the first controller here. So we can go and change this around. So we can go and do different color modes and all of your usual kind of effects and stuff like that. But if you want to do the real cool stuff, it's with this lighting layers. Okay, so first we're gonna go and select static color. So at the moment it's on white, right? All white. But what we're gonna do,
Fluffy now.
what'll show up the best? I'm just trying to think, for demonstration purposes, what'll show up best? Oh, what am I doing?
He doesn't like the new fans. He just looked up at the fan like, oh shit.
There we go. So colour. Okay, we'll go with a nice deep reddy orange type colour. Yeah. That'll do nicely. So I'm going to hold control down and we're going to select all of the lights, all the individual LEDs on the back and the front of our fans that we want to be this color orange. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a configuration where the outer ring is like a bright orange color, and we'll probably do like a green or a blue or something like that in the middle, just so this sort of stands out. So it can be a little bit slow setting this up, but trust me, when it comes to customized lighting, this is sort of the best that you can do. Gives you so much control over it. So I'm literally selecting, by holding down control and clicking on these LEDs, you'll see the fans slowly lighting up one LED at a time, I should say. And we can see that the center is not lighting up, it's just the rings on the outside of the fans. Yeah. It's up to you. I'd spend money. I'd spend extra money on an SSD if I could afford it. If not, I'd pretty much just roll with whatever. I'd just make sure I was getting one that had a 5-year warranty. Okay, so as we can see there now, we've got nothing in the center. We've just got the outer ring. Okay, so that's one of our lighting layers. So we can click on plus over here and we can add another lighting layer. So new lighting layer is, we're going to go back down here, we're going to go back to static color. And so what we need to do now is we're going to select a different color. Now I would be thinking something like this would be a good contrast. Oh, holding shift, not control. And I'm pretty sure I can select them like this. Yeah, I can do it with the mouse cursor as well. Bit hard to do the ones on the outside like this effectively, but the inner ones you can just drag the mouse over the LEDs, and there we go. Look at that. So can you go back to the video so I can just see what it looks like? Yeah, so as you can see there, you can clearly see we've made all of the middle ones a light color and then the outside a dark orange. But we're not done yet. We can still do more. So now that we've set up a nice base color here for our fans, let's add a little bit of. So let's add a little bit of fun to it. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. It's meant to be bright.
No.
What's wrong? Okay, so we can add a raindrop effect over the top of it. So it's now got like a multicolor raindrops, a raindrop pattern coming over the top of it. We can speed it up. We got random colors, or we can set an alternating color. So we could go.
You really want to get stood on, don't you?
And so now we're just alternating with purple and green. We can go back to random colors. And as we can see there on the indication there, we can see the exact lighting effect that's going over those fans, and the exact LED color that it's coming up, changing in real time there for that. Yeah.
I've never seen so many RGB options before. This is incredible. How do you feel about fast setup option? I see a lot of opinions about keeping it off to avoid issues.
What was that? Fast setup option. So I always set up every PC manually, just so I can give it a bit of a run, and I do an individual stress test on each of them, just because I'm on my own and I don't have time for like heaps of support calls and stuff like that. So
How do you feel about fast startup option?
oh, like as in the boot option, fast startup. Yeah, I'd just leave it off if I was you. Sometimes it can actually slow things down because it changes, like it doesn't detect certain devices at first to get you a bit of a speed increase, but that can sometimes cause problems for you. So
Tim,
yeah.
Says we want some razzle dazzle Tim. Huge rave host by Street Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. So what we've done there with these layers, we can go and like copy and paste our layers over to the other fans if we wanted to. We can come over here to our RAM, and let me set up our dims. Sorry, we're 1x4. That's strange. It's showing the slots. It's showing them like upside down and not in two separate channels. But we don't have. It's not the same on the screen there as to what we've got in the case. Our sticks are in the correct slots in the case. It's just showing up differently here. Huh? Can't really see it. Yeah.
No, on the screen.
Oh.
The camera thing's over it.
Yeah.
Talking about.
There you go. It's showing up with them right next to each other. They're not right next to each other. But yes, we can do the exact same thing that we just did there with our other fans. We can apply that to the RAM, and so we can individually address all of the LEDs in our RAM. So, you know, we can sit here for the next half an hour just playing around with our lighting and just getting it to do pretty much whatever you can imagine. You'll be able to make it happen here. And that's why you pay the extra for the Corsair branded RGB. If you don't care, if you just want like one color, you don't have to really worry too much about what brand RGB you get. If you want to do fancy stuff like this, you need to get something like Corsair. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no problem there at all, especially not with the hardware that we've got. Alrighty, there's that hardware lighting, it's even brighter. And so yeah, our lighting profile that we set up before, that'll come back once Windows is loaded up and IQ starts up. And you'll see the fans change there. So yeah, IQ fans, definitely worth a little bit extra. If you're going to spend extra, you may as well get the fans with the best RGB software that you can do the most with. Because in terms of you staying satisfied with the look of your case and your lighting configuration, having the extra options here never goes astray. Alright, so we'll open up hardware monitor here. Oh, I've realised I need to configure MSI Afterburner for this bit. So normally just sort of shorten this fan curve a little bit, just in case. Alright, and this what we're setting up here is what we're going to see on the screen as statistics when we run our benchmarks. So all these different CPUs here, and then the one that doesn't have a number, that's just the overall. This is the 12 threads of our CPU individually, and we're not going to worry about how they're going individually. We're just going to look at the overall for the CPU. That's all we need to see. And these are the controls for it. There we go. And so we can run Heaven here, high, no anti-aliasing. And make me small again. So we got this number here below RAM is how many frames per second it's currently running at. And up here we've got GPU temperature, We've got utilization, clock speed, and the wattage that it's consuming. And then the VRAM speed, VRAM usage, speed. Then we've got our CPU temperature, usage, clock speed, wattage, our RAM usage, and then that number there is how many frames per second it's running. So put the glass panel on it now that we're doing this. So yeah, Tristan, you'll have fun playing with the lighting, getting it all just looking just right for you. But yes, hopefully my brief demo on the Corsair lighting sort of explains it a little bit better to people. It seems a bit overwhelming at first when you look at it, but it's actually relatively intuitive and easy to use. And no, I'm definitely not big enough to be paid by Corsair to say that. That's my honest opinion. Okay, so that was Heaven there on high with no anti-aliasing. And next, we'll run a more demanding benchmark called Valley. And we're also going to run it on higher settings. So both of these ones are 1080p, but this is a more demanding one, this one, and it's on higher settings. freaking crazy.
Stupid birds, but they look so funny. They're like, oh, what the fuck is this? They dance.
I love how like Australian animals are just like these like awkward clunky things that just would no way they'd survive in Africa. Like
Maybe an emu could. They can run pretty fucking fast.
yeah, emus like there's ostriches in Africa, but
Yeah.
like emus are just especially clunky, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're pretty clunky. Alrighty, so that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. And then finally we'll run superposition at 4K. Not that we'd really want to use a 3060 to run 4K games, but just for consistency's sake, so we always run the same 3 benchmarks. Yeah.
Unlimited budget, full-size case. Which one would you choose?
Unlimited budget, full-size case. Which one would I choose? Ooh. Ooh. Options. Not a 1000D. I think it's just. I think that's just ridiculous. It's too big. I mean, the 7000X is pretty cool. The Leon Lee XL is pretty cool. I've been thinking about it for a while in terms of updating the background. I mean, obviously the component boxes and stuff make for a pretty good background, pretty good like real background as opposed to like a green screen or something like that. But I was also thinking of getting one of those like neon glass tube signs that says Tim's PC. And I was also thinking of getting a PC and wall mounting it behind me and just having it look like real sexy. I don't know if I put hardline tubing in there or something. I'd do something and make it look real sexy behind me. I don't know. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, that sounds cool. Maybe eventually. Oh yeah. Bioluminescence.
No, it's just see-through.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. So we are now at the end of the night. this is where we run our stress test. So I'll set this one up to run for 90 minutes. And we're going to log all of our temperatures over here. So we could push this 5600 a lot harder than what we are. Get a lot more wattage through it, because our CPU temperature can get up to 95 degrees. So this is like half the temp. Like I said, we don't need the cooler that we've got attached to it. It's just for looks. It fits the case. If we didn't have this size cooler, it would look weird in this case. And it gives you headroom. You can upgrade and not have to worry about a new cooler. And our RTX 3060, the GPU can get up to 83, and the hotspot can get up to 110. And so if we look over here in Cinebench, we can see there's 12 blue boxes calculating out this image. And over here in Task Manager for our CPU, we've got these 12 blue boxes. And if you're thinking, are these connected? Yes, they are connected. So this is exactly this is the cores being utilized, and we're seeing what most of those cores are being used for. And then down here, our graphics card is being used 100% for its 3D rendering. So basically what we're doing is we're like trying to run a game here with our furry donut while we're trying to render a video on the CPU. Something that you're never going to do. And this test is just designed to put out a lot of heat. I let it run for 90 minutes, make sure everything's running all good. And I mean, half the reason why I do it is just to get everything heated up. Heat up the power supply, heat up the motherboard, heat up all the components there at least once. And then if it stays good for me, it's unlikely the customer will have any issue with it. Because usually when things fail, they fail like straight away, or not long after you buy the thing, or it fails years down the track. So I'll do what I can to try to avoid that. But yeah, it gets pretty boring from here, because normally by this time, this is when I usually have some dinner, and just let this one run in the background. Yeah. This is just a 60 hertz capture card that everything's running through. So yeah, it's just 60 frames a second. Yep. Yeah. The thing is though, the GPU has its own like BIOS, and that's where it's getting that value from, whereas the CPU, it's plugged into the motherboard. I know it sounds like, well, what's the freaking difference, but it's different. But that's why we've got Hardware Monitor, which is an excellent app. It's about 1 megabyte, and it just tells you all this data about your system, even your SSD and your RAM. Has all the temperatures and all the details of that. If you have a problem with your PC and you take it into a PC shop, this is like an industry standard app. Same with Cinebench, same with Thermark. These are industry standard things that if you buy a PC and you have a problem and it goes back and gets tested, this is what we use to test PCs. So hardware monitor here is our default temperature monitoring app. So this is what we want to, if you think your system's overheating, I'm going to get you to open up this hardware monitor app and let it run in the background for a while you do some stuff. And then I'm going to get you to take some screenshots of what it records in this app. Not what some game is telling you that your graphics card's running at, because sometimes the game will recognize the hotspot as the GPU temp, and you'll be freaking out that the hotspot will get up to like 90 plus degrees, and you'll be freaking out thinking it's your graphics card. But that's why we've got this app here, which will definitely tell us the correct temperature. However, some of these here aren't connected to anything, and I can tell because of some of the temperatures that they're recording. It's like there's nothing here that's running at 80 degrees, for example. We go down to our CPU, not even close. Go down to our graphics card. Oh, we got our hotspot there on our graphics cards at 80. Got our GPU 64. I doubt the PCIe slot is what's showing up there as 79. What's more likely is that these two values here, 75 and 30, they're not actually connected to anything. The motherboard has the circuits there, but they're not actually connected to a temp sensor. And so sometimes you'll see anomalous readings here in hardware monitor. So if you open up your hardware monitor and you start seeing like 10 degrees or something like that, that's like thermodynamically impossible given the room temperature, or if you see like 100 plus degrees or something, it's probably not actually connected to anything. The motherboard will have the circuit there for it, but it won't actually be connected to anything. So you just got to know what you're looking at there. So I don't generally recommend people just have a look around in here, because that's how you're going to scare yourself looking at this without any perspective on what you're looking at. All right. Well, if anyone's got any other final questions for me before I sign off, now is the time to ask. Well, we're pretty much done for the day.
I made you big.
You made me what? You made me big. Oh yay, I'm big now. Like, you know, got the mushroom. Something like that. Nah, all good. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, especially YouTube. We're nearly at 1,000 subs. So if you haven't done it yet, come on over to the YouTube channel, click subscribe. It really, really helps me out. Getting to 1,000 means that the channel can get monetized and YouTube will pay me to make content. Not that they'll be paying me very much, but it's something. It's something. And it's something that I've been working on for the last 2 years that I've had the YouTube channel. So, yes. And what happens is I'm favored more by YouTube algorithms once I hit that. So, yeah, happy days ahead. Alrighty, well, at the risk of repeating myself, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.